Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So meeting in order. As we'll do the roll call, just to distinguish quorum. And Scott, we'll start with you. Roll call.
Scott Gardner, Wyoming County IDA.
Kevin Zanner, IDA Council.
Bill Gazowski, IDA Board.
Nicole Hastings, IDA Board. Becky Ryan, IDA Board.
Mark Dad, IDA Board.
Doug Burwanger, IDA Board.
Jim Rutowski, IDA Board. Jim Pierce, IDA Staff.
Jennifer Tishka, IDA staff.
Okay. We have our minutes from the September 21st meeting. Who on that record?
Second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the financial report.
Yeah, in Robin's absence, Jennifer's gonna pinch hit.
Okay,
Okay, we started the month of September with $104,889.40 in cash and $2,274,410.82 in invested funds. Brought in some income. If you go down through to the expenses, point out the IDA marketing of that number, $2,406.25 went towards a new website that we're going to hear more about later from Scott. And then if you want to flip over to the next month of October, it shows our income that came in for October, some interest earned on CDs, going down through the expenses, conference and training, the 2,780 was NISAC. Down to the IDA marketing, that was our MOU with the chamber that we do annually. And then over on the next page is the month of November. Some fees earned, that $4,072.33 was Farmcraft Brewery's admin fee, which is 20% of the 1% of the estimated project cost. And if you go down through, next are the expenses. Under other disbursements, point out the New York State Local Retirement System 2024 annual fee of $37,483. And we ended the month of November with $2,251,46.44. In the back is our operating budget for the month of November for you to review. And I will add in the auditor from EFPR Group has reached out and provided us with a list of information that's needed, and he'll be presenting the audit plan overview in January. Let's get started.
Same gentleman that did the audit last year, that Joe Keaton.
everybody was pleased with that, right?
Very pleased.
Yes.
Very sweet.
Are we hitting 5% then? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're hitting 5% in any of the CDs as of yet.
Our CDs,
Just
yes.
a question, you don't have to look at
No, our CDs are running 4.85 right now.
Are those fees that we were recommending there? That's because we're charging up front now. Yes, we did other things. Oh, at the end of the closing, yeah. So now we asked 20% before we'll give them the project agreement and the sales tax exemption. Because we got stung on a couple.
Right, I remember that we took 2 or 3 meetings, 3 or 4 meetings back.
Yeah. Good catch. By the way, we're signing the loan agreements today for Farmcraft, and we'll be closing out the project next week. So we'll get the rest of the revenue from that. And the walls are going up.
Yes, they are.
Great.
This is Joe Myers setting up.
Yes.
28. Nice.
Time for the snow to fly.
Get the BYO for now.
I was gonna say, all right, we have, everybody, I think, has completed 2C, excuse me, the compliance documents and evaluations. And we all received before the meeting, sexual harassment policy. And that was amended to to some extent because of the DEI qualifications.
Yeah, there were better descriptions about DEI and gender identification and all those sorts of things, so it's just more encompassing than the other one was.
Do I have a motion to approve that document?
Make that motion.
Right. Joe, did you second that?
Yep.
All in favor?
Right.
Goodness.
Yeah, could you please back up to 2D?
Oh, we didn't approve the financial? Yeah, we
I
did.
thought you did.
Yeah.
No, no,
No, D, the amend the MOU.
Administrative service.
he might be on the other agenda.
Once again, I'm looking at, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thank you, Kevin.
I just can't get this. All right.
So, Mr.
Would you
Chairman,
tell
just,
us- Would you tell us about 2D?
yeah, every year we have a annual MOU that we use with the Wyoming County Business Center because we administer their programs and we charge them $20,000. This year, when the Business Center submitted our budget to the Wyoming County Board of Supervisors, we asked for an additional $10,000, knowing that IDA administration of the Business Center was going to be more time consuming with the fact that the MK project has now started. In fact, we had a meeting last night, a public information session, which went pretty well, had about 20, 25 people show up for that. And so that project is starting. We're recognizing that it's going to take more IDA time to do that. So we have asked the Business Center to kick in another $10,000. So if the board approves that amendment, I had the MOUs for the chairman's signature here in my hand.
Any discussion, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we already talked about the sexual harassment policy. And we have to set meeting dates for 24. Do you have a proposed list?
I would, normally the board sticks with the second Tuesday of every month, like we have been at 2:30? Thursday, I'm sorry.
Making sure we're awake.
I know. I'm the one sleeping at the wheel.
Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
What that allows us to do is to do a public notice about the meetings. We only have to pay for it once, but we'll advertise them all at once.
Do I have a motion then to set those as the board meeting dates for 2024?
Move that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Jim, could you tell us about
Yeah, I caught news that AES, which owns both the Bliss and Weathersfield wind turbine projects, secured a repower grant, essentially a block of power from NYSERDA, which will allow them, since the wind turbines are reaching the end of their life expectancy, will allow them to secure that block of power going forward in the future. So on the agenda, you'll note that the Bliss, for example, is a 100 megawatt facility and the Weathersfield is 126 megawatts. So NYSERDA is going to award them that same amount of power. So we met with the company officials and, but it wasn't your husband.
Annabelle.
Yeah, it was Annabelle O'Neill. And their original plans were talking about maybe just fitting the turbines with new blades that catch the wind easier and can be more productive with a little bit larger generating unit in it. And the more they thought about it, the more it made more sense to just decommission all the old ones and then put up more new ones in the same general footprint, but not as many. So their plan moving forward is to reduce down the number of wind turbines. And they, of course, will be taller and they will be more powerful. They're 4.5 megawatts. And they provided this information about the project itself. So right now, they are meeting with landowners, trying to figure out where they are gonna place the new ones, because there are gonna be less of them. And how many that will result in being in total. So they have asked if they could use our building space here to meet with landowners, and we agreed to do that. They also will have to start all over again with the permitting process, but it'll be through the 94C and not the Article 10 process. And they will also have to work with each of the communities about a new host agreement as well. So this is basically starting over. And they will also be looking to the IDA for pilot and sales tax exemption once again.
Much taller are you gonna be?
They haven't really identified, they did mention a number about 625 feet.
Christmas morning, Jim.
So they,
Seriously.
yeah, it's a win for the town, it's a win for the IDA, boost the revenue, they're already there. They're just gonna be a little bit taller, and they've had some meetings with both municipalities already, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of opposition at this point. They just wanna know, where they're gonna be and how the host agreement's gonna be worked out. And the construction and, the permitting obviously is gonna start as soon as they can, but construction is estimated to be in 2026.
They're not, I think, working on, they're not gonna shut them all down at the same time.
No, they're not in a hurry, because the Bliss project has already gone through the 15-year original pilot, and now it's into the 5-year automatic renewal. So they're still producing power, they're still being effective, so they're not gonna be in a big hurry. The other one will kick in on the 5-year extension, the Weathersfield one, starting next year. So they can take their time and do this, and they're still gonna be making money producing power.
Are they going to try squeezing the landowners and try to play one against the other, or how are they gonna determine that?
That's gonna be a tricky situation, and I don't know how they are gonna balance that out, because you are gonna have less landowners to work with. There's also the decommissioning work that has to be done. The question will be on the part of the municipalities, or does that include taking out the foundations and all that stuff?
I was gonna ask that question.
Because as you know, they took out the original 10 up here, and I didn't even know they were gonna do it. We were working with them, all of a sudden I drove by there one day and they're gone. It's like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what the sheriff is only.
One of my customers came in and said their whole house was shaking, they supposedly didn't even know that they were going to.
They blew them up with the
Yeah,
dynamite.
that's what the sheriff.
They were.
Took the concrete out too.
Yeah.
Is there anything that they can use from something they're decommissioning?
No.
Towers?
They're gonna try to recycle the components as best they can. A lot of the stuff is recyclable. The challenging part of turbines are the kind of the fiber carbon blades. They have fiberglass and carbon. And trying to get that into some sort of a recyclable material is gonna be a little bit challenging. So they're concentrating on how to do something with that.
I saw a picture of a lot of blades laying in a field. You may know, I don't think it was in Wyoming County.
hang on the side of the building.
We could. I don't know what they did with the original 10 that they took down. They talked about recycling those as well. But we met with them just once, and like I said, next time I knew, I drove by there, never gone. So I don't know what
Well, there's a bond that's issued when they do.
Yep.
Decommission. So I guess we'll find out how efficient that bond is.
how good it is, right?
We don't know if they took all the concrete out or not.
I do not know that.
Because in the previous contracts, they guaranteed we'll take up to 3 foot of the concrete out. I'm going years back.
Right.
I think that's not good enough. They didn't care for that, but then that went away.
I mean, that could realistically be up to the landowners, I think the idea of the wind turbine companies is just to get it below frost level and then just cover it up with topsoil and start tilling it again.
Depending on where they are,
There's a good spot for a blind.
Yeah.
awful lot of concrete in the ground.
But
Everybody gets a check, everybody's happy. That's how that works.
there'll be less opposition, I think, with these, other than, you know, the exception that they're gonna be taller. But people have lived with them now for over 15 years around there.
How old were the old ones?
The original ones,
25 years.
yeah,
At least, I would say. Ron Herman was still on board. So he always said, Ron, you should put a saloon in right next door to Ron's Woodmill Inn. Weathersfield. Never happened though. I think it was that, yeah.
people would come like, oh, yeah, sure. So I just wanted to give the board a heads up. So we're gonna continue to work with, the folks at AES and helping out wherever we can through this, what will be a very long process, but, eventually they will be at our doorstep once again.
Is there anything else to report?
I do want to cover item 3B, which is the Alley Cat Wind Project. We have received a release from the Siting Commission that talked about how they had approved the amendments to the Alley Cat Wind Project. They're now going from what was original 116 wind turbines across Allegheny and Cattaraugus and Wyoming County down to 83. And mostly for the supervisors from the town of Arcade's attention, they're changing what they were proposing with what 14,
Different number, same money.
same money. Okay, so we're down to 10 turbines.
I've had one person, well, two, way higher up on, not understanding this is actually happening. After like 3 years of, Jeff Carlino.
I didn't know them as well.
And then, another neighbor who was surprised. And I put her in contact with our rep, Marguerite Wells, and I haven't heard a word since. So
Yeah, we reached out to Marguerite Wells to see how this is going to affect our IDA deal, because we've already approved this project. And more than likely, there will be some sort of a amendment, we think, necessary, and we haven't heard back from her yet.
I keep on getting letters from an outfit for solar panels. Different property.
For solar?
They want me to call them, I've never recalled them.
Where do they manufacture the turbines?
I'm not sure where they said these new ones were gonna be coming from. There is a US-based manufacturer now.
Okay. I think they're GE turbines, but I don't know where they're manufactured.
Yeah.
And then components and stuff.
I think I've read an article where there's a plant actually in New York State where they're starting to make them, like in front of Utica area. Mr. Chairman, if I could continue, I'll just give you the rest of my executive director's report while we're talking about projects. I let the board know with an email about the happenings of API, and I have now reached out to all the people at the leadership of API that are heading up the transition team, including the chief financial officer. We've had discussions with the Department of Labor. They're coming in with their rapid response team. We're trying to do as much as we can for the 130 employees that are there, trying to keep those people gainfully employed in Wyoming County if we can help that. So there are a couple of plans to do both an in-house job fair and an out-of-house job fair, not an outhouse. But the in-house one would be to see if anybody wants to move within the corporate structure. As many of you may know, API is owned by a private investment company. And typically, you know, they look at the bottom line a lot in that sometimes aren't overly concerned about other things when you're transitioning out a plant and the employees. So we're working with the Department of Labor, and we're hoping to let other manufacturers know, particular in the arcade area. And we have started doing that there will be some job openings at the end of April. Our people looking for jobs.
Do they have any other plants in the area?
They have, the headquarters is actually on Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. They have a plant in Wisconsin, they have one in Germany, they have two in China, and one in Mexico. So, you know, one of the challenges with private equity firms, like I said, is they have a concentration on the bottom line. Sometimes that if their things aren't performing the way they should. So one of the things that we're working with API on currently is that the two buildings that they occupy are actually leased by API, and they're under contract for another 8 to 9 years. So we are going to be working on trying to find somebody to come in and take on a sublease for those buildings. And this morning, actually, I got a call from a business prospect that would be interested in coming in and possibly trying to buy some of the equipment and use the buildings to make a similar type of product. So we're starting to get some inquiries now that it's been made public about the closure of the plant. So we'll continue to follow those up as well.
Jim, is Presco Lake still interviews all day, every day?
They took that off their sign.
I see that.
I was actually just there this week. Steele and O'Brien, who is the manufacturing operation, also in Arcade, had asked me if I could set up a couple tours of facilities that I considered were kind of world-class in terms of lean manufacturing, and lighting, and cleanliness, and Kazon, and all the things that manufacturers strive to be. And so there was two companies in Arcade we wanted to visit. One was Basetech that makes the electronic components where you could eat off the floor, and then we went to Presterlight as well. They have a very sharp run operation, and that was the next item on my report, because our work with them resulted in the state giving them 2 grants totaling $650,000, and that's going to be used to set up those new production lines that we talked about previously to work with Cummins Engine. So that is coming in. It's anticipated this 5-year contract with Cummins will double the revenue of Presterlight over the next 5 years. So they will be doing more hiring, and they probably have to charge a little bit or ask for a little bit higher wage for, as of the 1st of January, it's $15 an hour. That was what was on the sign, so they're going to have to bump that up some, I think, if they're going to try to get some folks in there. I'm still working with the guy that wants to knock the yo-yo factory down in Arcade and put up a housing project. He's working on the IDA application. A couple other things that I talked about last time, a couple businesses looking to buy existing one, maybe looking for some funding from us. We still haven't, by the way, closed on the loan to JV Contracting. He's still trying to secure a loan or a building that will work for his showroom. So that money has not been put out there. The Farmcraft Brewery project we touched on already. That's going to close next week. We're still working with the people at Genie Solar on that solar project. They still need a local permit for a variance for a setback from the town of Perry property line. They have not pulled the trigger on that yet. So subsequently, we have not had the public hearing. We're still waiting for them to get their local permits done. I want to let the board know that I sat on the local planning committee for Perry's DRI, and we whittled down project applications. There were a total of 25 that came in asking for over 25 million. There's only 9.7 million that's going to be granted. So we got the list down to 15 projects, and they wanted to put in an inflated number list to the state who makes the final decision. So we ended up with 15 projects asking for $16 million of DRI. So now the state's going to have to whittle these projects down to 9.7 million. So I don't know what will happen. There's some projects there's some really good projects in there, and there's some that, I question whether or not they have the resources to pull it off, but ultimately it's going to be up to the state to make the decision on it. We'll see where that goes. So it's now in the hands of the state. And I also met with that group in Arcade that now is in the Ford garage. That was a vacant building that we were trying to get filled up. It's called All Around Performance. It's an ATV sales service business. The guy also does online selling of used ATV parts. He was in South Wales, that new plaza on Route 16, if you've been by there. So now he's moved into the Ford Garage and Arcade. And he originally was, Doug, you will know this, in Freedom.
Yeah.
Right on Route 98.
Connor's good.
Dustin. So he's there, he's doing an open house this week, I see, and then just so the chairman knows, I have been working with a couple interested parties in the Opera House project in Attica, so hopefully we can get back involved with that project as possibly an adaptive reuse project. It's a beautiful building, and we want to try to keep it.
We had some very positive things happen the last few days, so, oriented, I'm encouraged. And I must admit, my office is across the street, so I have a intense interest in it.
Last time I went by the building, I looked up, there was a pigeon looking out the window at me.
I feed him at my house and across the street at the office.
But it's from an architectural standpoint, it's one of the most beautiful buildings that we have in this county, so. Got to see what we can do to help it. That's my report.
Is there any other business?
I'm gonna mention this or-
If not, our next meeting will be January 11th at 2:30 PM. And
I won't be here.
where's that?
Syracuse.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Okay, this stuff, so.
Yes.